So Intel came out with earnings last night, and they basically said they're not really encouraged by the coming quarters. They did real well on consumer part of their business. I remember Intel when I first got introduced to Intel. They made chips for the computers that we bought, and so that's how I've known them. They in their client computing sales, they were up 31% is 7.5 billion. That is laptops, that is PCs. Those are things that you and I are purchasing or upgrading. A company would upgrade as well. Their data center business, this segment saw a 5% rise in sales to 3 billion despite competition from, of course, NVIDIA. So they did okay there. And then where they sort of blew it in a way, the newly separated, so they separated the Intel foundry business on their basically P&L or balance sheet. And the revenue had decreased by 10% year over year, and a $2.5 billion operating loss. Operating loss probably because maybe they're building foundries, maybe that's part of that. The decrease in revenue, that's interesting. I'm like, why is that declining? Is that a sign? And Intel will probably tell us more about what the consumer is spending, or businesses and corporations are spending on CPUs, GPUs, and that kind of thing in their earnings calls, and along with AMD. But they saw a decline in that area. Their revenue growth for the quarter was 12.7 billion, a 9% increase from the 11.7 billion a year earlier. So that's encouraging. But here's the thing I have a problem with Intel is it seems like they're playing a catch-up game. They're the third biggest producer of chips, NVIDIA, of course, AMD, I believe, and Intel. So is this a Cinderella story kind of situation that we could be seeing developing? Should we be buyers of Intel at this point? Well, let's look at the charts. Hey, happy birthday, Haley. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm chilling.
right on. You having a good morning so far?
Yeah, I went to Sunrise with the Ozzy Sheen, and then now I went to yoga, and then now I'm headed back home. And
Intel's chart, and we're going to look at the monthly, the weekly, and the daily. This is the monthly chart. As you can see, Intel this month has dropped. The blue line is this dark blue line is the 200 period moving average, simple moving average. So you can see the 200 day, or actually in this case, month simple moving average, it is presently below it. So in my 10-point scoring system, this is a no, -1 score there. The yellow line is the 20. It is way below that, or not way below it. It's sitting right on the 200, which is sort of bizarre. Then you have the green line, which is the 9-period moving average, or 9-month moving average in this case, well below it as well. That scores a -1 as well. The light blue line here is the 50-period or 50-month moving average. Again, below that. The orange one is the 90-period. I use that as my intermediate term, well below that now. And then from there, you've got your Bollinger Bands, and we were up closer towards the back in January, up towards the upper Bollinger Band, but since then have fallen pretty drastically down towards the lower Bollinger Band, which, this is interesting, there was a lot of buyers in this area of Intel, and this lower Bollinger Band is actually in sort of a buy zone, which puts it at $20.77. Wow, That is a roughly $11 drop from where we are at today. So that to me is, that's, with their projections, with their guidance, this could be a place where Intel could be headed towards. When I look at the weekly chart, I've got something similar below all my simple moving averages on a weekly basis. I'm now stepped outside the lower Bollinger Band. So there is a good chance that it will come back up above within the Bollinger Band, but it hits this 200 period, or in this case, this 90 period moving average. Okay, so that's that orange line right there. That could be the resistance side of this. And so when I look at this, I go, you know, my downward, I'm really just trending down. If I start from April of 21 on a weekly chart, and I just draw from there, let's do that. This will be fun drawing, right? And so here's my line. This is my long-term trend. Let's make it, we'll make it death black, because that's sort of what is in a way happening here. And there you go. For Intel to get higher on a weekly chart, you've got to be breaking, in this case, looks like 43.68. We are well away from that. We are far away from that at this point. So that is not encouraging. And then let's look at the daily chart. My trend line is still there. I am I'm below all my simple moving averages. I'm looking at my MACD. It's been negative really since April 3rd of this month of April. It's negative. Your slow stochastic, it's below 20. That's a negative. Your RSI is at 23.93. I'm like, why would you? Why would you take the risk to own this stock with the potential that you're going to get down into the mid to low $20 range sometime in the near future? Now, something I was thinking about earlier was that Intel is, they had a really good run in their quarter earnings within the basically personal, the PC and desktop side of their business grew pretty sizably. Now, I am one of those people who needs a new computer. I have been shopping for a new computer here recently, and it's sort of like it's second in a headache to the new car that I'm going to have to buy, because the brilliant people of GMC, along with Ford, have bent cow down to having to institute this, not economy, what is it? Environmental, initiative we've seen over the last 10 years. And because they haven't figured it out yet, my wife's engine, granted it's 220,000 miles on her Tahoe, is now on its probably 6 months from its deathbed. So buying a new car is a pain in the rear, but buying a computer is really becoming a pain in the rear. And this is where Intel's business seems to be doing really well. But I take in this in account that 90-day delinquencies on mortgages, 90-day delinquencies on credit cards is all up. The M2 money supply, which is your checking savings type accounts, declining. We don't have the savings we used to. So I'm looking at Intel and I'm saying, one, you're third when it comes to the GPU, CPU world, okay? You're third, way third from NVIDIA and AMD. You're building out foundries, which long-term could be a really great thing, really great for our country, bring back manufacturing in the US. But the business that's making them money right now is based on you and me. And when I go to the store, it's expensive. When I go out to eat, it's expensive. People's accounts are not in favor of going out and buying a $500 to $3,000 computer right now. And I think we're going to see that along with corporations. And this is where I think Intel could, take a hit this quarter, second half of next year, going into 2025. They are dependent on the consumer. And as I've talked about in previous videos, like the Meta one, the Tesla one I did yesterday, it's the consumer is straining. Inflation continues to go up. And as long as that continues and that whole mix happens, the consumer, you, the consumer, don't have as much money. So what do I think Intel will be? I'm just going to go out to the monthly chart again. Let's take a look again at that. And my answer is, I like Intel back around this range, 20 to 25 range. That's where I think Intel is headed. And that could be, and if you look at it from this perspective, let's minimize this and this and this, blow this up a little, get a little gap there a little bit. And we see going back to December of 2003, Intel basically plays in this range between 33.80 and $12.50. If Intel is going to be a player in the future when it comes to the chip world, it's going to be a while before they do it, because it's taken time to build foundries, and it's going to take time to build trust and deliver a product that is a competitor to NVIDIA and AMD. So if I'm looking at this as a buying opportunity or something down the road, I'm going to wait for this thing to get down in the 20, 25 and below range. And then I just hope they can win the business to advance their business and be a competitor to NVIDIA. But in that game, I just wouldn't put a lot of money into this personally. I am not confident. Long term, it's just a downward moving stock. So hopefully that helps you clarify if this is an opportunity. I don't think so. Not yet. Just wait. Be patient, in my opinion. Like everything we say on this channel, this is not advice, and this is not a recommendation. Do your own due diligence. Make your own decisions. Become a better investor. Join the Best of US Investors Platinum channel, where we get into the nitty-gritty of this. And most importantly, live loud. Peace.